Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and I am live in San Francisco, California. And down in Hollywood is my co-host, Jon Reed. What is up, John?
Happy Monday night, Gary. We're here. Runaways is back. It's not like it went away. Just the 6 days seem very long to me in between Runaways episode. But things are good, man. Things are good. Happy holidays. Christmas is upon us. I'm wondering, are we going to get a Runaways on Christmas? Are we going to be able to talk about Doctor Who and Runaways on Christmas Day? I'm kind of like, since we're already scheduled to have a podcast, I'm almost kind of hoping that we're able to do something.
I think that's the case. I did not see a break in Runaways on, it was Wikipedia and IMDb. We could check later, but
Yeah, we'll check later. But I think that'd be fun to have a Christmas Day or evening, a Christmas Day Eve discussion about both Doctor Who and Runaways. It could be a fun one.
Oh yeah. We will be here for you. Yes, we will be here for Doctor Who. I was hemming and hawing about that. John was always on board. I was like, I don't know, but we got to do at least one more for that.
Yeah, but I think so.
And it was an interesting weekend of podcasting. We did a couple of live ones that were spirited but very civil, and we've gotten some pretty good feedback actually on the Star Wars stuff. Please watch that. Runaways, though, it felt like a long time. We've done a lot of podcasts this week. My wife reminded me of that.
A lot of hours behind the podcasting.
I'm really glad. I mean, I loved Gifted, but I'm really glad we're just doing this tonight. So
it seems so much nicer to just like watch the episode and now get to like talk to you about it instead of having like a time, like a bomb about to explode at the end of our Runaways coverage because we had to get to Gifted and to have to watch Gifted first and then like go into Runaways on the heels of having just watched Gifted and thinking about what I'm going to talk about on Gifted. It was nice to just kind of like enjoy the episode, and then we don't have another one creeping up behind us tonight. We can just go with this one and enjoy it.
It's nice. I mean, I know first world podcasting problems, but So this episode, Refraction, by the way, episode 7, man, they did drop 3 at once. So
they dropped the first 3. So really it's episode like 4 or 5 or whatever.
But we're over halfway through the season now. And let's not bury the lead. They haven't run away yet.
They haven't run away. There's no running or awayness. It's more like stay at homes. Is what this stay under your evil parents' roofs should be the name of this series potentially. We'll workshop that before one.
Nudging out there. I don't know. The more time passes, the more I start liking the parents. I mean, except for Victor Stein.
Well, that's clearly their point, right? That's clearly what they're trying to do, because let's not bury the other lead. Very little like going on with the actual Runaways in this episode. This was as the past bunch of episodes have been, very, very parent heavy episodes, right? Like it's almost as if the parents are going to run away and the kids are an afterthought at this point. I mean, not really. And I am liking it, but come on, like lots of the parents tonight. Like,
yes, they were really trying to pull in my demographic tonight. The late 40s. It's weird when you see these high school things, and I've said this many times on the podcast. I am not a fan. I am not this guy who misses high school. It wasn't the peak of my life. It was a really crappy time in my life, and I don't have nostalgia for that at all. But it's weird seeing it flip now, because like I'm all, parent teacher night, I've been to that, and I can see it from the parent side. And really, I've so wanted to do what Victor Stein did to the lacrosse coach to a couple teachers. I mean, hey, most teachers are good. They're great people. They do a lot of good work, but there's some, come on, teachers are people.
Well, no, that's the thing. I've actually had this discussion with people, and I know we're getting off topic here, but like one of my reasons for not wanting to have kids has always been that I'm like a super control freak, and one, having the kid make their own decisions would be a problem, but also like having other people that can like influence your kids at the most important time in their like growth would be nearly impossible for me. Like if somebody tried to call out my kid for something, I'd be in there just like, you're the adult, like you figure this out. This isn't something my kid needs to figure out. This is something you need to, you know what I mean? So I feel like I would be the worst parent to teachers ever. So like parent teacher night is just a nightmare experience to watch for me. Cause yeah, I would do the same thing.
Melissa and I are the same way, but see, that's why we have kids. They teach us to deal with stuff like that, and you just learn. And you can't watch them every second, although you'd like to. You'd really like to, but and then there's a point where it's like, God, thank God they're on their own.
Yeah, no, I could imagine. But the other interesting thing about like, because I'm not super nostalgic for high school, but I am nostalgic for a time in my life, whatever that time was, where like your close friends remained the same. Like you had like one group of friends that you spent a lot of time, like got a lot of FaceTime with, right? Like you get older and your friends spread out. I'm in LA, you're in San Francisco. You know what I mean? Like people spread out. And so you do all these things like digitally. But I love, like, I think that's what attracts me to a lot of these shows like The OC and Buffy and Gossip Girl, is that they're about like a family away from family that you have during like formative years. And there's something like just very unique and interesting about those relationships, and you're catching them at a time before everyone spreads out. So you kind of see what drives people to different like long-term decisions in their life. And so I think that's what attracts me to these types of shows, and Runaways is no exception to that. Like this is one of the highest quality shows at dealing with those types of things, with the added pressure of the parents being psycho, super right? So I don't know, it's interesting.
No, that is interesting, and that's one of the great differences between you and I. And not to give too much background, but and I don't mean this as an insult at all, John. John's life was more Breakfast Club, if you want to use 80s references, in a slight way, in a very fun way. And my life was more suburbia. So if you ever saw Suburbia, that was my life. The time during high school was, I had a lot of fun, but I just didn't do a lot of high schooling. But to this show, sorry, too much personal information. I apologize.
I think it's interesting though, because we both have very different attitudes toward these types of shows. Like you watch them and enjoy them on one level. I think one of those levels is your wife likes them more than you do, like Riverdale and Buffy, like, well, you're a huge Buffy, but I think that we watch them differently. Yeah, no, for sure. You turn me on. So, I do think though that we watch these shows in slightly different ways and are looking for different things. And I think that's the beautiful thing of a show of this nature that's done super well, like a Buffy, is it gives us both what we want. So agreed. I'm wondering if you still feel that Runaways is giving you what you want, because I'm enjoying it, but I would say the last 2 weeks actually, I'm just going to say this week, because this week felt less refined and nuanced to me, and it felt much more like a impetus for what's got to come next, and not necessarily a filler episode, but it definitely felt like a status quo breaking episode that didn't have a lot happening within the episode itself. It like pushed everything for the future.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. Am I still getting anything? This episode, I'll say no. I'll be honest, but I was still entertained, and I know like after an episode like this, like better things are to come. At least I hope that's the case. I think they've gotten some stuff they needed to get out of the way, and again, without being boring. I actually wasn't bored during the episode, and we did get a lot of information. But it was done very matter-of-factly, like you said, and we didn't get a lot of strings. I was when I saw that they were doing open house, I was like, God, another gala event. That's so Josh Schwartz to go. There's always some kind of gala or event.
It's something. Like they go, Josh Schwartz, the key to his, I feel like, success, especially on the OC season 1, was plan a party, have a party, big reveal at party, somebody gets punched. Like that was every episode. Like that's just how it goes. And like last episode, I was like, this is Josh Schwartz at his best. Big galley, big reveal at galley. gala. I don't know if anyone got punched, but there were definitely some like gut punches in there, metaphorically speaking. And then this episode, I had the same thing where I was like, oh, great, they're getting back together at the school, but it didn't really play out that way, although somebody did get punched. And that's one of the things I think they're fixing right now, is we've talked about this and we were wondering if those punches were going to get pulled metaphorically in this, and they showed us today it wasn't. This episode opened up with Stein punching his kid, a flashback, in the face, right in the car, and that was something I thought was very I wasn't expecting. We after our last discussion, we through the discussion I had become convinced that they weren't going to go fully there with it. And this episode, they did, and I think it's necessary to do that for the story to really make sense, right? I don't know. Do you feel like they finally got it right there?
Yeah, they did. And it makes you wonder, like, where's the real Victor Stein? We got to see a lot of him this episode was his episode. We got a flashback in the beginning. This kid who didn't look anything like James Marsters. I forget it. Spike doesn't look anything like Spike, but he looked a lot like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes.
Which I was like, damn, that kid's a dead ringer for Jean-Claude. And he was being very charming, and meeting Chase's mom for the first time. And it was during a science class, and we're talking about time travel. And then it flashes forward a little bit to Chase in the car and him missing the city championship and then smacking him. And it's like, which is he just Jekyll and Hyde? Which one is the real, or are they both the real Victor Stein? And he is just this complicated, effed up dude who abuses his child and is obsessed with his work, which wouldn't be, I mean, that's real. That's super real. That's and it's tough to watch, but I'm glad they did it, because that was a really important part of this comic. And that's what we were, like you were saying, we were talking about before, is it seems like they were pulling punches, but they literally did not pull punches tonight, twice. And it was messed up. And it was messed up because you started feeling for Victor Stein a little bit, even though he had done this horrible thing to his kid. And then by the end, you're just kind of glad what happened. And at least I was like, yep, it's time to put him down,
Yeah. And well, I think the ending was a series of scenes that really pushed the story forward in a really good way. But before we get there, do you think maybe what's going on with Victor Stein is some sort of like time travel thing? Like he's coming back into his own body, or like some weird thing where it's like literally a different Stein, like an older or younger version of him showing up in that scene at any given time. Like, yeah,
I think so, because in the beginning, that little time travel TV had Chase apologizing to his dad, just going, listen, Dad, I'm sorry for everything. Just don't put on the fisticons. Don't put on the fistigons. Don't put on the fistigons. And that was a cool scene. That was like one of my favorite scenes in the T. I was like, oh, that was rad. The little repeat, like Chase was repeating in the background, and it looked like Victor was in some kind of a daze, or he was in one of his he was focusing or something, or he was just coming back into that time. Who knows? But they talked about time travel in the beginning, so I think it's pretty clear there's some time travel involved with him in particular. So
the actor who plays Chase, I feel like this is the beginning of a long career for this kid. Again, it's not a character from the comics that I was really that excited about, right? Like I liked the whole team, but he was never, when I saw Runaways was going to be a show, I wasn't like thrilled that the Chase story was about to be told.
Yeah.
But I am now. It's the kid in the writing, man. Like that meld is really working right now. I think that he's got a pretty bright future.
Agreed. He's one of the best things in it.
Yeah.
And it was a great performance, and it was their episode. There's other things that happened, but he shined in this episode. And yeah, because he's different. The Chase of the comics is just kind of a dude bro, and this one is a lot smarter, and it's a great change. And there's a lot of things this show is doing better than the comics, really. Not everything, but this is one in particular that I liked, so I agree.
And just so everyone knows, I mean, there's not going to be a lot of like comic book spoilers that we talk about even later in the episode, but we're going to keep this to the show. So the spoilers of everything we've seen so far in the show, and speculation about what might come, but none of that will be based on comic knowledge. We will give you a spoiler warning and do the comic spoilers later on in the episode. Although, to be honest, there's not a ton of those that we can get into in this episode. So it'll probably mostly spoiler free anyway.
And Jody's in the comments. Just reminder that we recap the episode first, and then we get to the comments afterwards. Sorry to interrupt you, John.
Yep. So one of the other things we're seeing in this Stein story, right, is this affair that has taken place and how it's affecting the two families. So we've got Robert Minoru and Chase's mom. I forget her name, her first name, Mrs. Stein.
There you go.
And she's seeing that her husband has changed, theoretically. And so she's ready to give it another shot. And because Victor's acting like a whole different guy. Robert is still under the impression that, he's going to leave his wife, Tina, and they're going to have, he's going to have a future with Mrs. Stein. So that none of that really pans out very well, especially because Leslie, Janet
Stein, by the way.
I always with the L's. Leslie is tasked by Jonah with getting the pride shit under control. like it's fracturing, and she's got to go in and fix the pride. He's got Frank working on fixing the church, right? So that's kind of how Jonah is keeping Frank occupied while he,
setting him up, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, go.
No, because Jonah briefly talked when he's talking to Leslie, and it was just his one scene in the beginning. He's like, "Hey, you got to get the family back together. And nothing's wrong yet, And then he's all the church. I don't want you to be around when the church falls. So I think he's setting up Frank to take over the church when it falls. So he's just poor Frank Dean. He's actually a good guy, right? And he's a really good dad to his kid.
Yes.
And he's going through that insecurity that I'm sure every older actor does when the roles start drying up, and you stop feeling your importance in the world or your place in the world. And he's just trying to find his place in the world, and he wants to commit to the church and, commit to his wife. And the poor guy's being cucked, and, he got mind wiped. And, I guess he did go ultra, and they wiped that from his mind.
He's got healing gloves.
He's got healing gloves now, and I just feel bad for the guy. I do. I mean, I know he's he's portrayed as kind of a doofus, but that's L.A. Like, if you are just like a wholesome good guy in that town, you're just going to be considered a doofus and be taken advantage of.
And he's also, he's portrayed as somebody who just doesn't have a good idea of what's going on. But we find out too, though, that like, if he were, they would just wipe his mind again. Like you're right. He's sympathetic. My question though is, right now he's sympathetic because he's ignorant, because, the whole ignorance is bliss thing. Like, he's not a part of it. So we aren't implicating him as a viewer. My question is, like, that's giving him a bit of a free pass for the writers to make him like real fucked up later. Like, I feel like we're going somewhere with Frank Dean on like a deep dive into, I have a feeling because of how clean he is right now, he's going to be the dirtiest when we get out of this thing.
Like kind of a reverse Wesley, like a reverse Wesley character arc where somebody starts out super clean and, well, I mean, Wesley got his hands dirty, and sorry to go on Angels, but he came out good, a better person in the end. Went out a badass. Frank, you're saying Frank Dean's gonna get downright evil.
I think so.
I could totally see that happening. That would be really interesting to watch, actually. I think
I mean, I don't. Yeah, that's why I
or
think
he's
they
just
might be
dead.
going away. Yeah, or that, or he's just dead, or he's just.
But I'd like to see him. Yeah, I'd like to see your way better. I want to see that. Yeah.
I mean, that's the signal. Like knowing Josh Schwartz well enough. Usually, the people who you really like at the beginning get destroyed along the way, and maybe there's redemption after that, or they just get destroyed, or they go really evil. And the people who are like kind of awful at the beginning usually have some sort of redemptive arc. I think this might break that with a few of them, specifically because the parents are supposed to be supervillains. So if they're villainous now, that'll probably continue. Although he is, he is in a very nuanced way humanizing them and making us sympathetic to at least some of these parents. So who knows? Maybe he will follow that trajectory with these guys. But this was definitely an episode where I started seeing, the characterizations of the parents pay off a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Can I ask you? I'm going to ask you a question about the parents. Do you think there's good because they're fractured right now, really fractured. Now, as far as not even the marriage things, I think those will just get back together in name only for the pride, and that's what Jonah wants. But I'm thinking more of with the Molly situation in the future. Do you think they're going to do something that kind of brings them together? Because it just doesn't feel like not the Steins, Gert's parents are the Yorks are really a part of this. Like they're forced to be a part of it. Something needs to corral everybody in because like for this to really work eventually, like the pride has to be kind of a cohesive unit. Or do you think that's never going to happen?
I started having that crisis last week as you guys know who are watching this, where I was like, I don't think we're ever going to get like a group of parents against a group of kids. I feel like we're always going to have like a hierarchy of how evil or good people are within both groups. And you could see crazy alliances happen all over the board. And this is, I agree with you, man. Like the Yorks feel like if the parents if the kids run away, and the rest of the parents are trying to like viciously hunt them down in some way, I feel like the Yorks are like, no, we're not. We're going to try to help these kids. We're on the kids' side, right? Like they feel like they're going to be on Gert and Molly's side of anything that happens. And yeah, I don't see that. I don't see what could happen that those characters who like maybe the DNA changes the dad, like he just changed his DNA. It seems like fundamentally changed his DNA when he got the liquid from Jonah from the cancer cure in the last episode. And it seems like Mr. York is he spilled it on himself and we don't know what that does to his DNA. So maybe like something happens where the pride like mind wipes them or changes them in some way. But as the Yorks are today, like I can't see them going against Gert and Molly for the benefit of the rest of the pride. That just doesn't seem like in their character at all.
Yeah, I could see them being sacrificed at some point. I mean, it was hard enough to what happened to Molly. And we see what we're setting up there, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And I'm very excited. Other than that, is when they were telling Molly to leave the house, after everything Molly had been through. And then I'm going to ask you about Molly. Yeah, he did have kind of a stink eye right there when she like started getting mad at him, and Mr. York like looked like Victor Stein for a second, but maybe he was just trying to be stern. So I think when the Jonah's DNA got into him, I think it was more of a like this little foreshadowing of what's happening to Victor.
So like a short-term thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Short-term thing. Like he was just getting high. That was a pretty funny scene,
Yeah.
He was tripping on Jonah there, as they were saying.
Yeah. When he's got the glasses on at the end and he's basically like hungover from the DNA splicing.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah. Open house. That's a bad.
I enjoyed them. The Yorks are over the top, and I think I'm enjoying them more, not because anything has changed, but just because I've gotten used to it. Right. Like it's not like they're any less over the top or annoying now than they were at in past episodes, but it is refreshing in a series with this tone to have those characters. If everything were like them, I would not enjoy it, right? Like, but since they're like the only element of that in the show, of the like over the top character acting and like the hippie-ishness and stuff, I'm actually like to some people, they're probably the most evil characters, right? Like,
Right.
not my form of evil, but to some people they probably are. And I kind of like that that's a thing, right? So I actually appreciated the Yorks a lot more this week than I have in the past. I don't know. And
Oh,
again,
I did. Yeah, we've all known parents. I've got friends like them. Hell, Melissa and I have probably been accused of being like them, although we're not like super hippies and into cheeses, but you know. So
there, Gary. Maybe it's my love of cheese that is bonding me with the Yorks.
cheese is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Molly, what'd you think of Molly this episode? She had a little bit of an arc too, and I know both of us have had problems with her and her character and because it's just such a startling change from the comics.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should wait until the spoiler part.
Sure, we can do that.
I don't think what I want to say is super spoilery, but I just want to be safe. So
Let's be safe.
Off on our discussion of Molly. What I can say, generally speaking, I think this week she's, to me, a very weak actress. I'm not digging her scenes. I just don't think she's very good as an actress. That said, what happened with Molly in this episode, and she had a lot going on this episode too, like being shunned by the group, being shunned by the cheerleaders, trying to find her place is very much a theme of hers, right? Like she's younger than everyone else. She's always kind of looked down on because she's younger, or at least like her input is ignored to some degree, and that's true, right? But she's also younger. Like there's a reason why these other people think that they know better than her, because in a lot of situations they are going to know better, especially with the big fuck up from the last episode that Molly put them in danger. So a lot happened with Molly this episode. And I think that what actually happened was necessary for this show to be successful, because now, with the position that Molly specifically is in, it gives the rest of the kids a reason to protect her. She becomes that MacGuff, that figure in the story that can gel the group together. We'll talk more in the spoiler section, but I believe that this was plot-wise and story-wise a very good thing for that character. But I still have a problem with the actress. She's not great.
Yeah, I do too. And it's hard to say that because, we're not afraid to be critical on the show, but these are kids. Okay. Yeah. And she's a young kid. So, I mean, I'm sure she'll get better. And that was the problem you have with this show. And that's why they always cast people a little.
If you watch the original Kick-Ass, nobody was like, hey, those kids suck, right? Like they're really good kids that can act in these superhero movies and these roles and these difficult things. And I'm sorry, but right now, as it stands, and I said the same thing about the Harry Potter cast in the first movie, like as it stands right now, she's not great. Now she may become like a Emma Watson, like I think the Hermione grew into the role, and there's something to be said for the red. But like there are times where you watch these and the kids are just the younger actors. You're just like, I don't know how you got chose out of all the other actors in the world. So I don't know. Maybe she comes around, but right now, as it stands today, her scenes are the weakest scenes in the show.
Yeah, and that's the problem you're going to run into casting kids, and that's why it's hard for these shows to get made, and that is definitely why they made the decision of making her older. The only thing that I found cringeworthy, and it's just because I'm a dude, this scene. See, this is why it's a show made for both people. That's why I will say I endure these scenes, because cheerleading tryouts are not. While I like them in Buffy for some reason, I'm okay with cheerleading tryouts in a lot of shows. Just this one, it's just like, but I know it was important, and that's just me and my personal taste. The whole cheerleading high school thing,
the bring it on of it all.
Yeah, I was like, but I mean that those are little moments, and it does not take away from the show. it just seemed, I don't know, that one seemed a little forced to me. That was it.
Sure.
It was just, but you know, she is a little kid, and little kids do irrational things and run off and throw things in the trash and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but that was it. That was, and that was, really the point I was getting is like her acting. It's like, man, a little rough.
Yeah, no,
Could get better though.
Yeah. So we didn't get a lot of Alex and Nico in this episode. Really, their whole arc was her being like, "Hey, how'd you get the password?" Which we never find out.
They never find out.
And they cut away from the actual reveal. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what he could have said that would have warranted it being a cliffhanger, right? But it's interesting. I mean, I'm curious how Alex figured it out. And Nico was actually dressed in her outfit this week. She finally got into her costume from the comic book.
Yes, I was very excited, and then I'm like, God, I can't use that for the art because I just used her. Damn it!
Yeah.
So I got to use something else. But oh well. She looked great. I like Nico. How are you feeling about Nico? Are you coming around?
There wasn't a lot in this episode for me to say like, oh, I've reversed course, but like, I don't, there's nothing about this show that I am like pissed at, like actively pissed at. There's like choices I would have made differently and stuff like that. And like, there are things that I would improve, but there's nothing like my bitching about Nico and this actress portrayal of Nico isn't really like it's if I'm searching for something to talk about critically.
I wouldn't call it bitching. I would call it a minor critique. That it's not something you rag on every episode or anything.
No, I definitely am fine with it at this point. And I do think that the show is like the show's Nico is very compelling. It's just different, right? She's dealing with a lot really more than Nico in the comics was dealing with. So I'm impressed. I think that and I missed having more Alex and Nico in this episode. I know that the focus was on the parents, and so you had to sacrifice some of Carolina and some of Nico and Alex. But I missed it. I definitely missed it. I hope the next episode we get to move those stories forward a little bit more.
Definitely. Alex is somebody who's still growing on me as a character. For some reason, I liked him almost instantly in the comic book, but I'm having a little trouble during the show. It's not the actor. The actor's doing a fine job. He's playing him within character. I don't know. There might be reasons for that I want to get into.
The premiere was really strong for him.
It was.
I thought that premiere, the first two episodes, especially the transition of the first two premiere episodes where they see the parents sacrificing him, they go up, you see all the power go down in the house and the episode ends, and then it picks it back up a little bit earlier and you see how his plan came together. Like I thought that those that like 15 minutes of time was some of the strongest stuff in the show because it was focused on the kids. It showed how they deal in a crisis together, and it showed kind of Nico and Alex as leaders, right? As like Alex is the leader, the rest of the group would default to Nico if she weren't defaulting to Alex. And so I thought that stuff was some of the strongest stuff. And I agree with you that they haven't done a lot since then. I think the break-in was interesting, the break into Tina's office in the last episode, and the episode where Alex has to basically kill somebody or, shoot to maim or kill somebody, did a lot for the character as well. So he's had a lot of stuff, but I do feel like this episode specifically, there wasn't a whole lot to dig into for him.
No, yeah, I don't know. And maybe it's just me. It's just likability. I think he's playing him good. I don't think it's anything out of character. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah. He seems a little too damn, I don't know. I guess he was like that in the comic too. But in the comic, I always felt like, and maybe it was just my projection, like he was a good kid. He was a good kid that really bad things happened to. And he's not, he's this brilliant kid, like a statistician, not a statistician, a tactician and stuff. He's like really brilliant, except when it comes to like super personal decisions, like a lot of brilliant people are. So maybe it's just me. I don't know. I got to ask you a question though. So what do you think is the reason? Like, how does he know the password? Is it powers? Is it?
That's a good question. So we'll talk more in the spoilers, but I
Well,
can
this is why.
say,
Okay, good, yeah.
yeah. My non-spoilery speculation, which is my, I would say, secondary answer to this, is I believe that he has like dossiers on all the parents. I think that Alex has been monitoring things for a lot. Like he's the type of brain that sees things like 10 steps ahead, right? So I wouldn't be and it's a very Josh Schwartz thing to have happen where he's got like a PI on retainer, right? In the other shows, but in this show it would be basically like he has compiled a dossier on the weaknesses of all of the parents since they found out what happened or something, right? Like, what do you think?
I agree with you. He's Robin. He's Batman.
Yeah.
So this is the Teen Titans, and yeah, he's Nightwing. You know, Robin, Batman, Nightwing, whatever. Dick Grayson. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, he would have dossiers on everybody and know everybody's weaknesses. There's another reason, but yeah, we have to talk about that one later.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably it. What do you think of how slow they're playing this out? Like, again, they're not well, first of all, I just want to say Atlas the school is from Agents of Atlas, the comic book, which is the academy where who are they? It was Gorilla Man, Jimmy Woo, Namora. They would do their training back in the comics. So like this was a real deep pull, and I'm wondering, maybe it's just an Easter egg. It could also be, Agents of Atlas is not something we know a lot about. It could be interesting. It's Namora, Venus, Marvel Boy, Gorilla Man, the Human Robot, and Jimmy Woo. Those are some, deep pulls, but they're all characters that do something.
A couple, yeah, and a couple of Golden Age characters there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like, hey, we're gonna call it Atlas. Although that would be really interesting if they pull, especially Marvel Boy. That would be really cool. Probably not, but like we can always dream.
Can always dream.
Who knows? Hulu might become the Disney streaming service. You never know. You never know. But that was cool. No, you know what? I didn't even catch that. I was thinking about where that high school is. And I mean, is that really like Brentwood High or wherever the hell it is? I don't know. You would know. You live down there.
Or yeah, it's probably some like beach school or something.
Yeah. No place I'd go.
And you notice too, the coffee shop has timely comics on the side of it.
Yeah.
I know that's
good. Episode. But this is straight up Gossip Girl with superheroes.
Oh yeah. It's become that. What's interesting. Okay, so here's what I would say to that. The last two episodes, definitely, right? Like the gala was very Gossip Girl. This episode was very OC because the Gossip Girl took place just post high school, or like in the later years of high school and post high school in New York City. So there wasn't a ton of like kids going to school. The OC was a lot of kids going to school. Buffy, right? That last episode was super Gossip Girl. This episode was super OC. I'll give it to you, man. That said, though, it's shot differently, and the music is so moody. Like you would have like a lot of pop songs going on in these, and like aside from the cheerleader practice, it's all like Trent Reznor style, like moody synth stuff.
I like that.
Me too. I like, so like the tone is very different in both like auditorially and like the depth of feet, like whatever they're shooting on or whatever they're doing in post makes it feel a lot more theatrical, right? Like it feels a lot more like film and like, I don't know. So I think it's interesting. The depth of
this is a pretty show. This is a pretty show. The color palette on it is amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's partially shooting in LA, which God, they don't do anymore because I know it's super expensive, but there's a reason like LA's got that tone. And yes, it's because of the smog and the light, but the light in LA is just amazing. And and it's always freaking sunny there most of the time. But yeah, like and Josh Schwartz, that's one thing. He likes his high life, man. You know me, I like, hey, we all like nice things. Okay. We all like nice things, but I'm not like super into like rich people and their problems. But this one, I don't know, maybe it's Schadenfreude. I'd like to see the parents suffer a little bit. Although again, we've gotten so much parent characterization that I'm starting to sympathize. Like, there's going to be a point where like, well, they sacrificed a couple of kids, there's a lot of kids in Brentwood anyway. Yeah. You can make some more.
Oh, well, like they probably weren't great kids anyway.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, totally. They're spending a lot of time on the parents, man. And like, the fact that they haven't run away is beginning to be a problem.
Yeah. Well, remember, they're killing the kids. They're killing the kids. Fuck. Killing the kids for the children. Think of the children. They're killing the kids for the children to get a school built. It's really good. Yeah. The not running away thing is a big problem. They're not even nudged toward the door. They're not even. Yeah. Yeah. We talked about
the finale, right? Like it's like
they're
going to run away in the finale, and like that. That's a risk. Right. Like when we talk about taking risks in this type of entertainment, it's a risk. I don't know how good of it seems like a pointless thing to like draw out the whole first season to make it so that they don't run away until the very end of the first season.
I almost
they could be telling here.
I almost think it's on the television side, not this is non Kevin Feige. This is whoever's running the TV, which is Jeff Loeb, I presume. I think it's overconfidence in the brand. I know that sounds crazy with Marvel, but not everything Marvel is absolutely adored and loved. And Marvel isn't Star Wars. Okay. It's really segregated. And just because you put a Marvel brand on something, it will bring more eyes than most, but it's not going to bring all, because within Marvel, there's little sects of Marvel. There's Spider-Man fans, there's X-Men fans, there's, the core Marvel Heroes fans, there's, people who like the weird stuff like me, so yeah, not every Marvel fan likes all Marvel, and this was a risk because this was a YA thing that actually was a huge success in trade paperback only, not in comics. In the pamphlets, they never really sold very well. Even though the first issue of Runaways, I think, runs on eBay for, between $50 and $100, which is pretty good for a modern comic book.
The less, if something wasn't printed, the more valuable it tends to be. So that
there was a low print run.
Like not a lot of people buying them because they would have printed more. So
and low print run.
Let's go to the spoiler part of it. Is there anything else you want to say before we get to the spoiler part? Okay, so guys, I guess generally speaking, before we go, this was to me as close to we've had of a filler episode, in my opinion. But like, I liked all of, like, thematically, I thought it was really interesting, and I still really love where the show is going. I wish that they would run away. I wish we could get to the runaway part, and we'll talk more about that in the spoilers. And
we will get to your comments soon. By the way,
and we'll get to the comments as well. So if you're go away if you're worried about spoilers from the comic book. We'll be back.
All pretense. Go away.
Go away. We're going to be spoiling shit now.
Yes.
So there's the two big things, spoilers, that we need to talk about, right? We need to talk about Molly, and we need to talk about Alex, I think, are the two biggies here. So Alex knowing the password.
Yeah.
Do you think he's already working with the Pride? Do you think something has happened already where, we don't know when they're going to run away? Theoretically, this whole fucking show could take place without them ever running away. So is this a thing where Alex knew the password because he's in on it?
It would make no sense. Okay, I'm just talking on the TV side. I'm not saying it made a lot of sense in the comic. Okay, because it was kind of a shock.
Yeah,
it was a big shock, but it was much later on. So, yes, I'm going to say maybe Jonah got to him or something.
So, here's the thing.
I don't think it's his dad.
What if the whole idea here by the parents is, okay, you kids saw what happened. We need to quell this. So you're going to tell them, hey, we're going to go find these videos of the proof, and we're going to let you get videos, but they aren't going to prove anything. They're going to disprove it, right? So here's the password, break in with Nico, go through the whole charade like you're against us. And then when the videos finally get decrypted, it's going to be a big nothing, right? Here's the password, go for it. What do you think of like if that's what's going on here?
Um, that wouldn't make sense in this story in the TV version. So separating this from comics, I think. Okay, this is what he's gonna say. I think he's gonna say he hacked her because he's been like stalking
Yes.
Nico. Okay, that's what I think the cover story is gonna be. Uh, no, it wouldn't make sense this early. I think it's gonna be something later because the Pride doesn't seem too cohesive enough to have an insider on this, and plus they're at least on the outside they're not convinced that all the kids know yet. So unless like Alex's dad or somebody got way ahead of it and got to Alex first, which is what you're saying, which
Yep.
I definitely a possibility. But I'll just for devil's advocate sake say nah. I think it's more of a Alex just is a stalker of
Is
Nico.
Ooh, got a bug. So the other big thing I wanted to talk to you about is Molly. The thing that I've been so annoyed about Molly is what we've talked about, where the group doesn't feel like they have this thing to coalesce around. And I love that this week Molly became that, right? Like the fact that she's about to get shipped off somewhere is to me what's so exciting, right? Like that could drive them to actually run away with her to stop that from happening. So it like escalates the pace of what's going on. Like, do you see that similarly?
Yes, absolutely. I think actually things are going to start converging back to the comic, like you just said. Basically, I think this is the point. So maybe we will get a runaway early on. I think they've circled around and made Tina like what we thought she was.
Yes.
When they had that conversation with Leslie, she was like, I thought you were my right hand. And I thought you were my right hand, and yeah, because there's no way Tina's going to give up power. Those two are both major alphas. And I actually think Tina, who her vulnerability is Robert and Nico, but like she is a boss boss B. We'll just say that. I can't see her cowing down to Leslie at all. I think she's kind of a badass,
Mhm.
and I could see her doing what she's going to do. Like I can see her coming in like the Steins. I don't know. I think the Steins are going to eventually they're trying to save Molly. That's what they're trying to do right now. I don't think they're going to succeed. So I think we're going to get that, and
I
that'll
mean,
be interesting. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I agree. I think that I also think though that's what could push the Yorks. That's where the Yorks don't make sense to me,
I think
right?
they die. I
You
think
think
they're going to die.
it seems like a waste though. Like I feel like
Right?
asked Kevin Wiseman to like be a significant bad guy on the show, not to like be in it for a season and then die. I mean, they could pull a Game of Thrones, who knows? But I feel like he's just too big, like just like James Mar. Like you're not going to bring in James Marsters and then kill him off right away. So I don't know. It just
On a plug note, we're going to be interviewing a mystery actress. We'll just call her Karen right now. She's a character actress. She's been in a lot of stuff, but she's a sister to somebody who works in my wife's salon, and she is very, 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 very good friends with Kevin Weissman. So
oh
I'm gonna try.
yeah,
I'm gonna try. We'll see what happens.
yeah,
Karen's definitely gonna be on, but
that's awesome. I can't wait.
yeah, you should be on for that. That'd be fun. She's been in like every show we watch. Everybody like when they see her, they'll go, "I've seen her in everything I watch." She's one of
Mhm.
those faces. So.
That's fun. Yeah, for sure, man. I can't wait for that.
But yeah, I hope not because I like Kevin Weissman. I loved him in Alias, and I like him here, and I like the Steins. I do.
Let
Not the
us know in the
Steins. I mean,
comments
so the Yorks. Sorry, my bad.
you think of this episode, because Brian C, the first comment we got when we started this live chat, he said effing great episode, and I kind of looked at that and I was like, oh, am I missing something? Because I thought it was great. Like I love this show, it's my favorite new show, but I saw this episode and was kind of like, this is a middle of the season episode. Like this is an episode in the middle of the season where they've got to put some chess pieces in place,
This show was better than all but the last episode of Gifted, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
like this shows like this episode was better. So yeah, on the level of this shows a high bar for me. And I still think this was a good show, like the good episode. I mean, I'm with you. It's not the greatest, but this is a really good show
Yeah.
that needs to have more people watching it. And I think a lot of guys are going to stay away from the show. Okay. I think a lot of guys are going to straight up think it's a girl show. And it's really not. It's really not, because I watch it, but I mean, it's okay to watch a girl show, quote unquote. And that's
Yeah.
these.
I don't even like. I don't know.
I don't even know if that's a good title for it, but that's just what that's what I suspect. It's also on Hulu, but I think this is we're gonna. How many people are we gonna run into later this year? Going, man, did you watch Runaways? That was pretty good, man. I binged it when I was sick. And we're gonna go, yeah, we watched Runaways.
Yeah, and that's it's sad. Like I don't know how you fix that, right? Like if this were on a network, it wouldn't be the same show. But because so it's like better because it's not on a network, but because it's also not on a network, the marketing isn't there and the tie-ins aren't there. Although I did have, and I don't know if it's this is because I actually watch it, but I have TiVo. And in TiVo, there's a little like ad bar that runs below stuff sometimes. And so when I'm watching like The Gifted or other shows that are similar, a little ad bar comes up that says press go to watch Runaways on Hulu. And there's like a Runaways ad that like will take you right to Hulu through your TiVo so you can watch it. And I don't know, that's probably just because I already watch it, it. But that said, like that is an interesting and
that's interesting.
Love TiVo, but they're trying. I feel like Hulu's doing it's like I've seen like lots of like bus stops with Runaways ads on them and billboards and stuff, but for some reason it's just not breaking.
Nothing up here. That's weird, because usually we have the same ads you do.
Yeah.
On our buses and stuff. Now all our buses are like, feed starving people and stuff.
Yeah.
So good ads. Sorry, but it is San Francisco. Jody said high school sucked for him too, but he sometimes misses college. I miss college altogether. No, I'm sorry it sucked for you, man.
I went to like 5 colleges. I miss them all.
Yeah. I went to one for like a little bit and I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit too much, probably. And I think anywhere where you have that community that's like a family outside of your family, I think it's like that's the nostalgia that these shows play on more than anything. So
with kids, it's more like you teach them the skills they need to live, and then you hope for the best. Damn straight. And, yeah, that doesn't mean you're not crossing your fingers and squinting your eyes, but yeah, that's the. But they turn out, they turn out to be people. It's really weird watching them grow up. I've watched Jon grow up too.
Yeah. I was a little kid. Brian Smart says Alex reminds me of in looks of Richard Ayoade from The Crow. The Crown. No, The Crown. The It Crowd. Sorry, I had a little thing blocking it. Richard from The It Crowd. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Yeah, Gossip Girls was okay, but Veronica Mars was more my jam for that demographic. Yeah, this has a lot of Veronica Mars in it too. It really does.
Actually, that's probably one of the better comparisons. I mean, we compare it to Gossip Girl and the OC because it's Josh Schwartz, and we compare it to Buffy because it's like a high school supernatural, Scooby Gang show. But Veronica Mars, it's probably in tone is closer to like the eeriness, the like weirdness of things is probably closer in tone to Veronica Mars.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it is.
That's good.
Yeah. Riverdale was okay during the first season, then got way weird in the second season. What do you think of that, John?
Okay, so I wish we still talked about Riverdale. I agree. I thought Riverdale was great in the first season. I didn't love the second half of the first season as much. Like the reveals didn't hit that hard. The second season is so effing weird. It's like serial killer Archie, like weird serial killers.
What? Yeah. Really?
Like I have started to really dig it. Like it turned me off at first, but when I started just accepting it for what it was, it's like it's a cool show, man. The more I watch Riverdale, the more I like it. So I think that's a good thing. But it did get super, super, super weird. I can't wait to see where that show goes. I can see it going in. And he also talks about Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which is going to be
Yep.
and like again, I have no idea what the tone of that show is going to be after seeing Riverdale this season. Like they could go all sorts. Like yeah, it could be Craft like, it could be Charmed like, or Buffy like. Like it really could be anything at this point. I have no idea what those guys are going to do with Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Well, after the holidays, my wife's time is going to be freed up a little bit to podcast, so maybe we'll be able to revisit some of those shows.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she was down for Riverdale. It's just, it's once the holidays are over and she's in her photo commitment, whatever the heck she was doing.
Hard in time, though. It's late. It's late in the middle of the week, which is
it is. Okay. What is this? Wesley Wyndham. Oh, Wesley Wyndham Price. He tried going dark, but he still ended up being a hero in the end. Yes, we are big fans of the Wesley arc. Actually, God, on one of your old websites, you did a whole like what was the best character? You did it. What did you do? A poll of who the best character
the
in Buffy?
Hero arcs of Buffy, and I had Wes as number one, and I left Buffy off, and caused a lot of controversy. Look, I still think the arc itself. Anyway, whatever. But I think Wes is an extremely underrated heroic arc, maybe anti-heroic arc. I don't know, something.
I've come around to your side on that one after rewatching it a few times. So
yeah,
I try to rewatch Buffy once a year.
Yeah, exactly. I rewatch it all the time, and I kind of watched with that eye the last time I watched it, and I can definitely see the growth in Buffy comparing with the growth in some of the other characters, but the problem is, anyway, we can talk about this all day. I have a problem with how her decision making ends up in the 6th and 7th seasons, and I feel like it's regression. So we can talk about all that.
She did die in season 5 and didn't want to come back. So we have to
spoiler alert. I guess we are.
Oh, geez. It's been years. Oh my God. But yeah, Marvel's Runaways, damn good show. Deserves a lot more viewers, and I think it'll get them. I think it's going to get a second season. It's because it's just got 2 powerhouse producers behind it, and it's very good. It's got a solid word of mouth. The critics seem to be liking it. Although, does anybody care what critics say anymore? Because you guys
apparently not. Look at Rotten Tomatoes, man. The difference between critic ratings and audience ratings are just at an all-time high, right? Like the difference.
Can I talk about that really quick? They're compromised, and you can't. Okay, they need to work. They need to pay their bills, and they want to stay critics. So, I mean, I can't really fault them, and I don't think they're doing it consciously. Okay, but I think there is this little thing in the back of the mind that Disney can be a little vindictive. Okay, and I'm saying if I think they would definitely forgive you not liking one of their things once in a while. Yeah. I don't think they give a crap. But if you systematically go after, yes, I use the word systematically, go after a Disney thing, I think they would pull your press pass, pull your free viewing, or all of a sudden your copy gets lost in the mail. That would happen. There's so much payola, and payola has been part of Hollywood since Hollywood began. So, I mean, we can't really blame it because it's part of the system. It really is. You lose votes, you lose access. There's a lot of things to think about. And that's where a lot of these that's why like a lot of bigger YouTube stuff, although they're very slick and highly produced and have a ton of talented people there, they're a bit vanilla because, they got to watch what they say. Yeah. Fortunately, right now we don't until we completely
we don't have to think about what we say ever. Interesting. So I agree that that's a segment of it. I think the bigger thing, and I've got a different theory of the case, is just I feel like I've been to some of these screenings that I've been to. I come away from the movie thinking more positively than I would if I weren't at a screening. And it's because the people that are there are generally happy to be there.
More enthusiastic.
Who worked on the movie. You've got people, and so you've got like a Q&A after with the director. And it's just like everything's heightened. And so like you can, like I remember coming away from the second prequel Star Wars movie being like, okay, that was better, like good job guys. And then I go back and watch it now and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like I just had a good day. Like, I had a good day going to the movie that day, going to Lucas Ranch and watching this movie at, at Lucasfilm, right? Like, that was fun. And so I think that people tend to maybe just have good experiences with these screeners, even if they're used to it as critics. Like, just the mood is generally high to go to these kind of big premieres and things, even if it's, just advanced screenings and stuff. And I think that kind of skews positive.
Dude, that was one of my highlights of life when you not that time, but when we went to Lucas Ranch, and it was during the making of Revenge of the Sith, and we ran into Lucas in the front door with Rick McCallum, the producer, and he just scowled at us. Like, what are these wretches doing here?
We were looking at all the Willow stuff in the book.
You told me not to touch the painting, and I almost touched the painting. You're like, don't touch that, and I'm like, ooh, almost set off alarms. But oh my god, Lucas Ranch was amazing. Oh my god, that was
so amazing. I can just see, I can see how that could affect your just perception of the day, right?
Yes, no, it's we when we had the comic shop, we used to go to a lot of premieres, and it was just people getting in for free, and they were super fans of the show. They would stand in that premiere line for hours, so they really wanted to see it. So we saw a lot of movies. I remember seeing the Punisher movie with cheering like you thought it was the greatest movie ever made.
We came out of that thinking that it was great, and now when I rewatch it, I'm like, what was I thinking at that
time?
It's great.
Anyway, we should probably you want to wrap this one up?
Yeah, sure, we can.
Okay. Guys, as always, Brian and Jody, thank you for participating. You guys are awesome. Best subscribers a YouTube channel could ever have.
Yeah.
And John, what else do we have coming up? Usually do the end.
It's a weird week, right? Because it's Christmas. So we've got Happy. We've got our news show, which I don't know we'll do on these. We'll still be doing these Fridays. And on Christmas Day, we're going to have the Doctor Who Christmas special, and we're going to potentially have another Runaways. So stay tuned for all that. And we're going to have a lot more stuff in 2018. So just stick with us. Also, if you're still listening, please follow at TPK Games, which is going to be our gaming affiliate, where we're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons and other live role-playing games over on Twitch. So check that out in the new year. We'll be launching that in February, but we've got the Twitch channel. We have the Twitter up. We've got a Twitch channel up, but there's nothing on it yet. But we'll be sending out little clips of our pre-games, our trial runs that we're going to be doing over the next month. So head on over to at TPK_games on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll have links in our description for all that stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, and thanks to everyone who's subscribing. Well, I know I was going to say thanks for everyone who's subscribing. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, which I cannot. 9 months. In 9 months, we've gone from close to 100 to almost 1,000. So thank you to all of you guys who are subscribing. And if you haven't, please hit subscribe. It helps us a lot. We're showing up in the YouTube search engine in a lot higher place now, which is helping us. And we love you guys. We love seeing you guys in the live chats. So the more you guys can show up, the happier we are, and the more we can gauge what you guys want to hear us talk about. So
yeah. So our next podcast is going to be Happy this Wednesday. Derek just sent me. I got to make sure it's in the frame there. Derek just sent this. We're not going to be able to get Derek on due to scheduling conflicts until next month. So it'll be when Happy's over, but he does send gifts that we are going to pass on. So look at those little sketch covers.
Yeah, maybe those will go into some of our Patreon boxes.
Yeah, we're gonna think of something fun to do with those. There's more. He sent me a nice little prize package. So him and his wife, who is a lovely lady. So John, your Twitter. Did you mention your Twitter?
I'm at Jon Reed 16. Is JONREED 16.
I'm at Nerdrotics. And I guess I'll take us out. May the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. See you later.
Bye, everyone. You guys rock.